So, toy hoarding. Well, that's a interesting way of putting it because I don't really refer to them as toys. I say collectibles. I do get a lot of people ribbing me and joking to me, going, "I collect toys." Uh, so what I do is I like to collect collectibles of films that I'm really into. I have a massive collection that I have accumulated over the years. I collect them along with films, and so really they kind of form part of my film collection because they're an add-on to it. The downside is the more time goes on and the more I accumulate, the harder it is to fit in. I'm a bit tight for space. Plus, I have a very busy household with lots going on, so to dust them all is a nightmare. You'll have to excuse the dust on some of these. I'm forever cleaning. Literally hours after I've cleaned, it all formulates again. That is a downside to it, but I done it for so long. It is nostalgic, so some of the figures I have are actually ones that I've had a long time, or I have re-got at collectors fairs and conventions, and yeah, they may have started out appealing to young people and children, but they kind of are a nostalgic thing to us adults for favourite films, and it's a way of displaying your love for that particular film. And also, you know, we're kind of a first generation of having this kind of culture of having some of these collectibles and figures. So, you know, who's to say what age they really are for? And an interesting one, when I was younger, they had a range of Alien toys, which has been reissued for the adult market. But when it first came out, it was for a younger child's demographic. But the film it was based on at the time in the UK was an 18 rated movie. It has been dropped to a 15 now, but still not a children's film, yet they tried to cash in for the children's market. They did this with Terminator 2 Judgment Day as well, which was interesting. And the fact that one of the Terminator figures, which I actually have in my collection, I had it when I was a child, unfortunately through moving and growing up and car boot sales and family clearouts, that was lost, but I managed to re-get one off of eBay and collectors fairs to get a few of them back. But one of the Terminator toys in particular was obviously based on the Terminator from the first film, again in the UK, an 18 rated B movie, dropped to a 15 now, but very much not a children's film. Yet this toy was aimed at young children who, you know, let's be honest, we know a lot of children were watching Terminator 1 and 2 younger than they should be, I myself included in that, and the same with Aliens. So it's an interesting censorship discussion there about, and they'll mark something for not children, but really they know that children are finding ways of watching this one way or another. But I do like being surrounded by my figures with my film collection, so it's a nice break up. So it's not just film covers, it's actually physical, you know, figures, and it kind of does give me a sense of joy, and it's also, it helps me get on with things, because I myself as a filmmaker have my dark times battling projects, and is it worth it, where am I going with it, and you know, what am I doing all this for, because it's so much hassle and stress sometimes. Obviously it's a hobby and passion as well as a career, but that, you know, if it wasn't a hobby and passion, the career side would be very questionable. So having this on display does remind me of what got me into it in the first place, why I do it, my passion. So what I'm trying to say is it helps keep that passion going. And yes, there is nostalgia attached to that, because I have said I do get nostalgia looking at certain figures in the line, because some of them remind me of my childhood, some of them remind me of when I first discovered said film and why it was so important to me and impactful to me. So there's lots of reasons. But getting older, I think NECA is a very cool range of the more adult figurines and collectibles, very detailed. You know, we live in a great time to be a collector, and you know, I'm spoilt for choice now, and that's the other negative is money. These things can cost a fortune now, some of these figures, even some of the kids toys, especially if it's still boxed and sealed, you know, depending on quality and packaging. Some of the asking prices for these things are insane, so you can become a very poor person and very broke if you're collecting this stuff. But I try to keep within a budget. To be fair, I am quite packed, and I do favour buying physical media and films over it. This is my extra little sideline is collecting the figures and the toys. I will favour film releases. I want more, and that in itself is an out of control collection. But you know, it is passion, it is love. You know, it's a hobby, and you know, life would be very boring without this creativity and art around me. So, you know, it does bring me joy. It also brings me pain in my wallet is concerned, but you know, I think I will say NECA are some of my favourite figures, and the McFarlane ones are quite good as well. I actually do unbox quite a lot of them to put on display, to fit them in for space and to show them off more. But some of the more expensive and more collectible ones I have tried to keep in packaging, because some of the packaging does form on the display because they come in some pretty elaborate stuff. So I try to put them on the walls and display them in their packaging if I can. Again, wall space and shelf space are something that I have really started to battle with lately. It's always been a battle, but it's, you know, the battle gets harder the more that keeps coming through the door and arriving. The window boxes are really cool that NECA do. However, it doesn't display the figure off very well, and then it can be a nightmare to get that figure out and to get it back in, and if you want to keep it in the box and display. And the box, if you want to open up to display, is cool, but takes up a lot more room. So you know, if I could have more space, then yeah, I'd have a lot more out on display. If I could get more money, I would definitely add to the collection more as well. So it's I'm restrained by finances and space a bit, but it's amazing how much space I can find when I push. Unfortunately, I have got some of my figures tucked away in places that are hard to get to. There's either been boxes stacked in front of them, they're in cupboards where, you know, I've had them for years, and I want to keep them, and I try to display them as much as I can, but I have them safe, hoping that one day I'll have more space to display them. So there is more to my collection, some really cool stuff, but it's managed to, over the years, as more and more has arrived, it's managed to edge its way to the back. Now, I wouldn't say I'm a hoarder. I will put an interesting spin on that, as I actually am a fully diagnosed autistic adult, and my special interest is film and filmmaking. Along with that comes collecting film memorabilia, figures of said films. So that's part of me and my identity, me being a autistic man who is a collector with a special interest, where the figures come into that. Collecting is a big trait of autism, and so that is partly why I collect. It's a passion, it's an obsession, and I am quite strong-willed with figure and toy collecting. Films, however, is a harder one because I do collect series of films and boutique labels and ranges. Obviously, it's impossible to collect everything. Well, if you have unlimited space and funds, then maybe. But I do collect certain lines of releases, and the spines are numbered, which has become a nightmare for someone like me, because obviously I want the complete collection, and they know what they're doing there. So I do battle it outside. The figures is an add-on, but there has been times where I love a film so much I have multiple releases and various editions. I also do want to get toys and figures to go with that film to put on display as the whole complete package. Candyman was one of those instances. I have Candyman figures jotted around the house, so I love that film, and I was getting a new edition when Arrow Video released this cool Blu-ray. It's now in 4K as well, which obviously I upgraded to 4K and kept the Blu-ray because crazy collector nut I am. But I also had to add some Candyman figures to the collection to go with that. I did have a disaster once as well. I went through a very bad breakup and divorce, and a few of my boxed up figures got broke. I was broken into, and someone went around with a knife and stabbed the collector's boxes, damaging them. And that kind of set me off into a little bit of a meltdown, and I managed to save some of them where they weren't completely damaged. It was more just the packaging, so I was able to open them up and put them on display. But it bothered me so much I had to track down and repurchase copies in their packaging so I could also display it how I had it. The change and the destruction really did mess with me, and it was a dark time. So I say collecting more than hoarding, because it was a collection to me and on display. It can come across as hoarding when I do have stuff all packaged up and not can't get to, well, I can get to it, but it is hassle to move everything and takes time. And as I say, I watch a lot of films. I have a big film collection, and that is ended up stacking in front of it in boxes. But the reason I don't think it's so much hoarding is a lot of the items hold a special place to me. It's something I love. It's a film I love dearly. It's sentimental. Someone might have bought me it as a present. It brings back memories. I just generally love the piece. I mean, I can go through my collection and know exactly when and where I got it, who got me it, so that has a meaning to it, and it has a memory attached to it. So it's a personal, sentimental collection and nostalgic collection and a hobby. So there's many reasons as to why I do it, and I like doing it. And when I think about it, obviously I was getting figures from a toddler age and a child, and I've always liked stuff, as I've mentioned, like Aliens and Terminator. I was young watching them, loving them. Having the figures to go with that was amazing. Quite can't believe, looking back, that they did figures for adult films, but obviously, so Christmases and birthdays, being a child, I had Terminator and Alien toys coming in, and Transformers was a big one as well, but obviously that was more kid-friendly, and Thundercats, nostalgic, kid-friendly, but I still like Thundercats. I have DVDs of all of the episodes, and I have got figures, original old classics on display, but also new ones to go with it that I've kept in the packaging on display. So, it's just a growing collection of passion and, in a way, geek culture. I sum that up to a treat. I will say, pop vinyl figures come out, and I wasn't so keen at first. I thought they were a bit cheap and gimmicky. And then there was a point where I was going to collectomanias and conventions, and they were everywhere, and everything in the end had a pop vinyl figure. But over time they grew on me, and I got the odd one, because sometimes it was the only figure of a particular film I wanted that was available, or sometimes was the feasible option because they were quite good value for money, or cheaper than buying a big expensive NECA or statue. But over time of having a few, they have grown on me, and they actually are quite fun, and I've kind of mellowed out a bit in my older age, and so I have ended up having quite a lot of pop vinyls on display. I also have some exotic pets, and some of the figures have made great additions to the enclosures, so I get to have them on display, and my exotic pet gets to appreciate them. I've ended up having to build a turtle home in the garden, and obviously, how could I resist having a turtle house out there without having Teenage Mutant Hero Turtle memorabilia on display with them? It's a must, isn't it? Really. I'm not very good and practical with my hands, so the model making kits when I was younger, that was a big thing. So to get collectibles of cool films. There was one for Guyver. I'm a big fan of the Guyver, and but you had to have a mould kit where you had to make it and then paint it. I got a Guyver one. My dad brought me. My granddad helped me do it. It was made all right with my granddad's help. Me painting it was a disaster. I still can't really do that stuff now. I'm not very good with my hands when it comes to arts and crafts. But it's on display for nostalgic purposes, and I have actually got better Guyver figures now on display, but these are quite hard to get. Some of these had to be imported, and imports become expensive, and limited editions become expensive. But I do have a real soft spot for my Guyver figures because they are rare, and I had to go through a lot to get them. It took a lot of searching, some bidding, and waiting for the right moment. So they were some of the harder ones I've had to get, and they take a prize place. So the ones that are out of the packaging, I have kept the packaging in decent condition, and in my loft I have all the boxes stacked up, because I just can't let that go, because as I say, some of the packaging is fantastic and the artwork, so it kind of, you know, it goes with them, but I can't display that as well. It's just that's insane in my environment. So I've put them away safely in storage, really. They probably will stay there for a very long time, and it's probably a bit mad that they're there, but it's you know, it's a peace of mind knowing I have the complete set and the complete package. If I was to destroy that and put that away, I'd be like, ah. However, I do have some old Chucky and Tiffany dolls, which I got on my 18th birthday. And I have them on the sofa sat there with me when I'm watching films. And many years ago, when I was, you know, late teens, early 20s, we were clearing out and getting rid of cardboard and packages. And there was a bonfire, and one of the Chucky doll packages did go on the bonfire, and it like screamed. It like went, ah! So, you know, make of that as you will. Is it a cursed doll? Who knows? You know, it actually freaked out my family when it happened. They're a bit more superstitious than me, especially my mum. But yeah, if I'm ever shopping and I walk past a toy store, or, you know, if I'm in a supermarket and there's the toy section, I can't help, and I can't resist to go and have a look and to see what's there and what's out. And now and again I have managed to find a great bargain, or a great item that, you know, I didn't really know about, and some of them are quite small and easy to fit in, and you know, I would say it's part of the fun, but it's not. Getting a new item and trying to fit it in is actually really stressful, because I like getting things how they are. So start to move it all around, you know, it's like a chain effect. You move one thing, you have to move another, and it just, you end up spending ages doing it. I'm very particular about stuff. That's part of the downside that annoys me with autism, is I get a bit funny about changing my stuff around and moving stuff, and it sets quirks off, and it actually frustrates me. So you know, it's a battle that I am used to, but it's still very tiring. But I have everything pretty much in an alright place at the moment. But if I do add anything else, it will be a little bit of shifting around. Something I am getting a lot of at the moment is I go to the cinema all the time. I have an unlimited card. I'm always there watching stuff. And cinema, I've started to cash in on the merch. So they are actually selling collectibles and figures themselves, so I keep coming back with popcorn buckets, elaborate fancy ones, and drinks cups with figures on, so that's getting added to the collection a lot at the moment, and I'm squeezing them in just, but I'm having to stack stuff, and yeah, and I know there's more coming out. Recently just come back with a Jurassic Park one, and I know the Superman one's coming, so yeah, I will be looking for more space for that as well. One of the frustrating things is at one point when I was younger, I had a complete Terminator collection and Aliens collection, and stupidly, when I got into getting older and wanted to get equipment to make my own independent films and just build my film collection, because I was in a bit of a weird transition of child to teenager to then young adult, I made silly decisions into getting rid of some of that stuff at car boot sales and clearing space for the film collection and trying to get money to put towards film collecting and film equipment. And I do regret getting rid of some of that stuff, to the point where I have actually had to track down second-hand copies of stuff I've got rid of and replace them almost. But some of that's hard to replace. You know, I had some very cool collectible stuff which probably won't get back, so I've managed to get a lot of them back. But I will say some of that definitely was nostalgia kicking in as I got older, and I was thinking of some of these collectibles I had and I loved, and I wished I could have them back on display, because it you know, that was nostalgia kicking in, as well as just the collector and me growing and me learning to understand myself more and getting myself into that position. But I will always be a collector. I don't think that will change. I can never see that changing. So heaven knows how big my collection will be on my day of reckoning.